Welcome back to Rogue Darkness. I'm your host of the Grim and Gruesome, Raven. In this episode, we delve into the haunting tale of the Casket Girls. Pale, ghostly figures who arrived in the fledgling city of New Orleans nearly 3 centuries ago, carrying with them an aura of mystery and dread that persists to this very day. As we navigate the shadowy streets of the French Quarter, where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin, we'll unravel the twisted strands of history and legend that have become inextricably intertwined in this unsettling saga. So gather close and let the eerie tale unfold. To understand the legend of the Casket Girls, we must first paint a picture of New Orleans in its infancy, a time when the city was little more than a ramshackle collection of hovels clinging to the banks of the Mississippi. The exact year of the city's founding is lost to history, but by the early 1720s it had become a haven for the dregs of French society: vagabonds, smugglers, and libertines, all thrown together in a melting pot of vice and desperation. But amidst this den of villainy, there was a glaring absence: women. The French crown, recognizing the need for a more balanced population to ensure the colony's survival, set about correcting this issue in the quickest manner possible. And so, from the dark corners of France's prisons and brothels, a motley crew of women were rounded up and shipped off to the New World, tasked with becoming the unwilling brides of the colony's unsavory inhabitants. In 1726, a beacon of hope arrived in the form of the Ursuline nuns, a group of pious women from Rouen who had been sent to establish an orphanage and school for the colony's young girls. These nuns, clad in their distinctive white uniform, must have seemed like angels descending upon the squalid streets of New Orleans, offering a glimmer of civility in an otherwise lawless land. The journey was no easy feat, as described by Sister Marie-Madeleine Achard in a letter to her father. Our voyage was long and perilous, lasting 5 months instead of the 3 we had expected. We faced storms, scarcity of water, and the threat of pirates. Yet we felt God's protection over us, and none of us wavered in our resolve. In another letter, Mother Saint Augustin wrote, "We were greeted with such joy and relief by the people of New Orleans. It seems that our presence was eagerly awaited, for the colony was in dire need of not just education, but also care for the poor and the sick. We knew that we had arrived where God intended us to be." But little did the Ursulines know that their convent would soon become the focal point of a dark and sordid mystery, one that would echo through the centuries to come. 2 years after the Ursulines' arrival, in 1728, a new group of women arrived in the port of New Orleans. These were no ordinary women, mind you. They were handpicked by none other than King Louis XV himself, plucked from the orphanages and convents of France to serve as the future wives of the colony's men. Their arrival was an event unlike any other the fledgling city had seen. The bustling port was alive with the clamor of merchants, sailors, and colonists alike, but when the Casket Girls descended from the ship, a hush fell over the crowd. Their pale skin, almost translucent under the bright sun, immediately caught the attention of onlookers. Their eyes were sunken, their movements sluggish, as if they had been drained of life during their long voyage. It was said that the very air around them felt colder, sending chills through the spectators who watched them disembark. Pale, emaciated, and ridden with fever, the girls clutched tightly to the small, coffin-shaped caskets that held their few belongings, a grim foreshadowing of the dark rumors that would soon consume them. These coffin-like caskets were small wooden chests meant to hold their personal belongings, yet their appearance, combined with the girls' ghostly presence, only fueled the suspicions of the townspeople. In a city as steeped in superstition as New Orleans, such imagery was bound to stir whispers of the supernatural. As the casket girls were ushered into the Ursuline Convent, whispers began to spread throughout the city. Some claimed that the girls' sickly appearance was not the result of a harsh journey at sea, but rather the work of something far more sinister. Had these poor, unfortunate souls unwittingly transported vampires from the old world, hidden away in the depths of their caskets? Or worse still, were the girls themselves the undead, their pallid complexions and sunken eyes betraying their true nature? The French settlers of New Orleans had long been wary of strange forces. Tales of vampires, demons, and spirits were common among the superstitious colonists. These fears were often stoked by the intense isolation and harsh living conditions they endured. The thought that these fragile women, sent to bring hope and stability to the struggling colony, might in fact be harbingers of doom, was enough to send shivers down the spines of even the bravest men. The casket girls were sequestered on the 3rd floor of the convent, their coffin-shaped chests stored away with them. As the weeks turned to months, a palpable sense of unease began to permeate the city. The death toll, always high in the disease-ridden colony, seemed to spike inexplicably, as if some unseen force was stalking the streets by night, draining the life from the hapless citizens. Rumors swirled that the convent's 3rd floor had become a den of unspeakable horror, where the casket girls lurked in the shadows, their once innocent faces twisted into hungry, predatory masks. The Ursulines, it was said, had no choice but to take drastic measures, sealing the shutters of the 3rd floor windows with nails blessed by the Pope himself, in a desperate attempt to keep the evil contained. The idea that the nuns would go to such lengths, sealing the windows with holy nails, only added to the growing hysteria. It was whispered that at night, strange noises could be heard from the convent, the low groaning of something unnatural, and the eerie creak of floorboards as if the girls were pacing endlessly in the dark. As the years passed, the casket girls faded into legend, their true fate lost to the mists of time. But the whispers of their dark legacy persisted, woven into the very fabric of New Orleans' haunted history. Even today, if you find yourself walking past the old Ursuline Convent on a moonlit night, you may feel a chill run down your spine as you gaze up at those perpetually shuttered 3rd floor windows. Some say that the casket girls are still there, trapped for eternity in their unholy prison, their hunger for the living never fully sated. Others claim that the girls escaped into the night long ago, their descendants stalking the shadows of the French Quarter to this very day, their thirst for blood and unquenchable curse passed down through generations. The legend has persisted for centuries, and modern paranormal enthusiasts still flock to the old Ursuline Convent, eager to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. Some claim that they've seen ghostly figures in the windows, or heard whispers when passing by late at night. Others report seeing the shutters briefly opening, only to slam shut moments later, as if something or someone was watching from inside. In 1978, so the story goes, 2 intrepid paranormal investigators decided to unravel the mystery of the casket girls once and for all. Under the cover of darkness, they crept over the convent's walls, determined to uncover the truth that had eluded so many for so long. The next morning, their lifeless bodies were discovered, ravaged and drained of every last drop of blood, their faces frozen in expressions of unspeakable terror. To the superstitious residents of the French Quarter, this grisly scene could only confirm what they had long suspected, that the casket girls were indeed vampires, their dark legacy extending far beyond the confines of the Ursuline Convent. No official records of the investigation exist, and skeptics argue that the story of the investigators is nothing more than a modern embellishment to an already terrifying myth. Yet for the people of New Orleans, this tale added fuel to the fire, cementing the Casket Girl's place in the city's haunted lore. And so, dear listeners, we come to the end of our chilling tale, a story of innocence lost, of darkness unleashed, and of a city forever haunted by the specters of its past. The legend of the Casket Girls may be steeped in mystery, but one thing remains certain. In New Orleans, where the boundary between the living and the dead is as thin as a spiderweb, anything is possible. Whether you believe the Casket Girls were truly vampires or simply victims of unfortunate circumstance, the shadow they cast over New Orleans is undeniable. The line between fact and fiction is often blurred, especially in a place like the Crescent City, where the past is never truly gone. As you wander the labyrinthine streets of the French Quarter, keep a watchful eye on the shadows that flicker in the gaslight, and listen for the faint whisper of a long-forgotten name on the night breeze. You never know what ancient evil may be lurking just around the corner, waiting to sink its teeth into the unsuspecting. The Casket Girls of the Ursuline Convent, a grim reminder that the past is never truly dead, and that the thirst for blood is an eternal curse that knows no bounds.